Having a budget is the most important factor concerning your finances. If you do not have a budget, then there is no way of tracking where your money is going, which can land you in hot water, such as overdrafting your bank account. As stated in my other videos, there are many budgets in which a person can choose. Certain budgets are appropriate for a particular group of people, such as the envelope system, which was discussed in my previous video. The envelope system is great, but it may not work well for those individuals who are living paycheck to paycheck. Another type of budget, that is like the envelope system, is known as the zero-based budget. According to Nermeen Dame, the owner of Savvy Dollar, the central concept of a zero-based budget is that you assign a dollar amount for each expense in a given month. In other words, every dollar must be accounted for prior to spending it. What particular group of people is the zero-based budget appropriate for? It is appropriate for those individuals who are struggling to keep track of their spending and are wanting to drill down exactly where their money is going. There are many individuals who pay their monthly obligations, and with the remaining, they spend it without tracking. The key to getting started is to determine your after-tax monthly income. If your pay fluctuates from month to month, it will be more difficult to use the system. However, a workaround is to take your average after-tax income for the previous year. This can be achieved by looking through the last 12 months of bank statements. It may be true that some of your monthly payment obligations are not fixed. For example, due to credit cards having variable interest rates, it is possible that your credit card payment may differ from the previous month, especially if it was heavily used. Before putting the budget together, you need to have a general idea where your money has been spent. This can be accomplished by looking through your bank and credit card statements over the last several months. By looking through your statements, you will be able to account for the type of categories in which your spending has occurred. Identifying your spending habits will allow you to see where you are overspending. It is important that you analyze each month separately as opposed to lumping the 3 months together. Because fluctuations in spending habits occur month to month, a new budget will need to be created prior to receiving your paycheck. When assembling your budget, you would consider your most priority obligations first, such as your groceries, insurance, mortgage, utilities, and transportation, which are essentials. You should have an idea of what the amounts are for the indicated categories, because you would have already gone through your previous month's statements. For example, concerning your most priority obligations, you would know that your rent or mortgage is $1,500, your utilities $200, your groceries $350, and your transportation cost $150. Most of these categories are somewhat fixed, so you should be able to set the same amount aside each month. As a side note, although I would consider debt as a priority, it is not more of a priority than the essentials, but keep in mind that it can wreak havoc on your credit if payments are not made. Once you have budgeted your priority obligations, you should then focus on savings, such as an emergency fund, investments, and a 401k, if one is offered through your employer. Setting money aside each month for savings will assist in reaching your financial goals early, as opposed to contributing sporadically. Consistency is the key. If you have any money left after the priorities and savings are budgeted, you can use the remainder for additional debt payments, or for discretionary expenses, such as dining out, going to movie theaters, and going to coffee shops. Once the priority expenses, debt expenses, savings, and discretionary expenses are calculated, every dollar should be accounted for. If, for some reason there is money left over, it needs to be placed into one of the assigned categories. Remember, the purpose of the plan is to have a zero-based budget, and, if there is money that is unaccounted for, then the plan will not be optimal. After the budget is set up, there may be a variety of challenges that you face, which prevent you from continuing with the plan. One such challenge is not tracking your spending each month. It is easy to procrastinate an expense by telling yourself that you will annotate it later. It takes time, discipline, and patience to make the zero-based budget a success. Another challenge is keeping unexpected expenses from wreaking havoc on your expenditures. The emergency fund category could be used for unexpected expenses, but if it is not an emergency, the wise choice would be to take it from the discretionary categories. As previously mentioned, consistency is key to making the zero-based budget system a success. Consistency will also make you more confident in your ability to track expenses and possibly be able to forecast expenditures. It is important to note that it will take a few months or possibly longer to drill down the system to perfection. There will be a lot of shifting money around until you feel comfortable with the amounts that you are allocating for each category. As you become more precise with allotting the appropriate amounts, it will become clearer where you are overspending. As you trim the fat, you will be able to allocate more money towards what really matters, your savings. Of course, like anything else, there are pros and cons with the zero budget system. The pros include: 1. Every dollar has a job. Therefore, you know where your money is going, as long as you are not borrowing from another category to cover another. 2. You have total control of your budget. If need be, you can make the necessary adjustments to improve your financial picture. 3. The zero-based budget is a great intro budget for those who need to track their spending. The cons include: 1. It is time-consuming. Each month, you will need to create a new budget, because income and expenses can often vary month to month. The zero-based budget is not a set-it-and-forget-it option. 2. As previously mentioned, it can be difficult to do with irregular income. In months where there is low income, you may be forced to eliminate certain categories. Meet the Carters. They are a highly active husband and wife team. Using what has been learned, we will take a deep inside look at the Carter family's zero-based budget, which they have been using for 5 months. The family's after-tax income is $5,000 per month. They are happy with the progress that has been made with the plan, because this past month, they were able to use every dollar of the budget as allocated. The new month is right around the corner, so they congregated to the office to prepare the budget. They outlined the budget as follows. For priority expenditures, the family budgeted $2,650 and includes rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, and transportation. Concerning debt expenditures, they budgeted $1,100, which includes student loans and credit cards. The savings portion of the budget equals $200 and comprises of an emergency fund, retirement fund, and savings account. The last portion of the family budget is discretionary expenditures that amount to $1,050 and includes clothes, entertainment, and dining out. As the family analyzed their budget for the upcoming month, they were struck by how much they were spending on discretionary expenses and just how little they were putting toward their debt and savings. They could not understand how they did not catch the misappropriation of funds for those categories. They thought they were doing so well spending every dollar as allocated, but quickly realized their current budget would not help them in the long run. The family knew that drastic changes had to be applied to the following month's budget. They decided to reallocate a huge portion of their discretionary expenditures to their debt to pay it off faster. They also decided to put a little extra toward their savings to try and make up for lost time. After reallocating the amounts, they came up with a budget that would reduce their debt in half the time and chip away at growing a larger savings. Their new and improved zero-based budget looked as follows. There was no change for the priority expenditures, as this portion of the budget remained the same. There was a huge change in debt expenditures, as the family budgeted an additional $650. Allocating an additional $650 toward their debt will pave a quicker path to financial independence. There was a minor change concerning their savings, as they added an additional $100. By adding the additional amount, it will get them to their savings goal more rapidly. The biggest change in the budget came from the discretionary expenditures. The family budgeted $750 less. The additional money went to the debt and savings categories. Once the budget was complete, the family was pleased with the changes that were made. If you enjoyed this video, click the subscribe button and select the notification bell so that you receive the content that will build your financial muscle.